Ma'am, you are the host now.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Yeah, we are. Until last time, we had completed the drainage system of India. And then moving on, we should ideally begin with Indian climate. Before that, we have to cover PYQs for the drainage part of India. So let's do those. Okay, first of all. Okay, question 109. Consider the following facts of the river Indus system. The Satluj originates in Tibet, where it is known as Langchen Khamba. The Satluj is a classic example of an antecedent river. हो गया सर? हाँ तो वो लाइट्स ऑफ कर देने चाहिए उन्होंने सारे लाइट्स लगा दिए ना सर दिस वन आई डिड Correct. Back to the question. Consider the following facts of the rivers of the Indus system. First, the Satluj originates in Tibet, where it is known as Lanchin Khambab. Satluj is a classic example of an antecedent river, and Jhelum is the largest tributary of the Indus system. Okay, we are saying Jhelum is the largest tributary of the Indus system. तो बताइए इसमें से क्या क्या सही है first statement सही है can we say the first statement is correct that the Satluj originates in Tibet where it is known as the Langchen Khamba that's true Langchen Khamba माने क्या रहा elephant river that's what they call it okay the Satluj does originate in Tibet the sources of the Satluj the Indus and the uh, Brahmaputra. They are all very close to each other. Okay, that's where we are going. So Satluj, Indus and Brahmaputra are close to each other. कैलाश माउंटेन के पास जो मानसरोवर लेक है, वहीं पे ये सारे rivers उसके आसपास ही ये सारे rivers originate करते हैं. Okay. Second statement says Satluj is a classic example of an antecedent river. Did the Satluj exist before the Himalayan upliftment? Yes. Yeah. 10 times yes. Satluj is the Jhelum is the largest tributary of the Indus system. Is the Jhelum the largest tributary of the Indus system? No. Chenab is the largest, Satluj is the longest. Okay. Jhelum does not have any such claim. Okay, so we'll just go with statements 1 and 2. Okay, which of the following rivers are east flowing rivers in India? Palar, Periyar, Pennar, Kali Nadi. Your options are Palar, Periyar, Pennar, Kali Nadi. If I'm pronouncing anything wrong and if you know the correct pronunciation, go ahead and correct. Eliminate कीजिए. C is 2 and 4 east flowing चाहिए. ईस्ट की तरफ जाने वाले आपको आप मुझे बराबर वेस्ट फ्लोइंग रिवर्स बता रहे हो Periyar and Kali Nadi from Karnataka, Periyar from Kerala are actually west flowing rivers. So आपकी east flowing options क्या होता है? Palar in Tamil Nadu and Pennar in Andhra. Andhra के coast पे जिसका ये है माउथ है वो पेन्नार एंड पालर माने वो जो तमिलनाडु में से इसकी तरफ जाती है पे ऑफ बंगाल की तरफ ओके सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट सो वी आर सेइंग पालर एंड पेन्नार जो है दीज आर द टू रिवर्स दैट आर ईस्ट फ्लोइंग Moving on, which of the following tributaries are correctly matched with the Deccan rivers? Your options are Bhavani Krishna, Kabini Kaveri, Manjra Godavari, Bhima Mahanadi. कोई एक जो पता हो तो हम उसको एलिमिनेट करें। गोदावरी मांजरा इज करेक्ट। टू एंड थ्री सही है। Okay, we say Kavini, Kaveri is correct and Manjra Godavari is correct. Absolutely. Bhavani, Kaveri का ही tributary है. Bhavani should ideally be a tributary of the Kaveri and Bhima is a tributary. जी sir. एक आप लोग याद से अपने फोन ले जाइए. I am not really responsible for the phones. I'm just telling you. उनको वो फोन चार्ज नहीं कराना है. तो आप खुद लगा देते भाई साहब. वो आपके काम में थोड़ी करेंगे. Entitlement of you people just amazes me every single time. Bhima किसका tributary है? भीमा किसका ट्रिब्यूटरी है? हाँ, महानदी का नहीं, कृष्णा का. थैंक यू. भीमा इज अ ट्रिब्यूटरी ऑफ द कृष्णा. ओके, सो दिस इज डेफिनेटली नॉट करेक्ट. ओके, सो वी आर गोइंग विथ टू एंड थ्री. ओके, हम ऑप्शंस टू एंड थ्री के साथ चलें. ओके, consider the following statements regarding river Brahmaputra. It rises in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar. It takes a U-turn near Namcha Barwa and enters India through a gorge. Which of the following statements given above are correct? Second only. मानसरोवर के पास नहीं है, ब्रह्मपुत्र का ओरिजिन है. हमने अभी डिस्कस किया ना, इंडस, ब्रह्मपुत्र एंड सतलज, सबके ओरिजिन्स आर प्रीटी क्लोज बाय, क्लोज टू मानसरोवर, क्लोज टू कैलाश माउंटेन, क्लोज टू लेक राकस. डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ग्लेशियर्स, डिफरेंट साइड्स ऑफ द माउंटेन, बट क्लोज टू दैट प्लेस. So we'll go with the first statement. Okay, does the Brahmaputra take a U-turn near Namcha Barwa and flow directly into India? Yes. वो क्या नाम से अंदर आती है इंडिया में? सियांग या दिहांग. दिहांग और सियांग के नाम से नीचे आती है. Then it receives the confluence of the Lohit and Dibang, and after that it is famously known as the Brahmaputra. Okay, so we'll go with both one and two. Consider the following statements regarding the given rivers is are correct. Um, वो जो मैडम है बीच में, हाँ जी आप ही. Can you stop talking? Would you like to answer the question? Maybe that will distract you from whatever important issues you were discussing, state security. Here we are. First statement, Sangpo crosses over into India under the name of Dihang. Godavari has the second largest river basin, covering about 10% of the river of 10% of the area of India. And rivers Chambal and Betwa are the important tributaries of the river Ganga, which join river Ganga directly in Uttar Pradesh. बोलो जी, क्या सही है क्या गलत है? One and two सही है? हाँ जी, very correct. We'll go with one and two. Okay. The logic is now there is a problem over here. Unless you actually knew कि गोदावरी का river basin जो है, drainage basin जो है, that equals about 10%, you are in a problem over here because just eliminate. You know that three is wrong, right? If that is the way you're working, that three is wrong, and then eliminate three and see what works and what doesn't. Then clearly this won't work. Okay, because second statement फिर भी थोड़ा सा figure करता है. You still have to figure out if one and two are separately correct or not. Okay, तो वो थोड़ी सी problem हो जाती है. So we know that Sangpo does, Yarlang Sangpo or Sangpo, meaning the Brahmaputra, does cross into India in the name of Dihang or Siang, and then उसके बाद it will receive the confluence of Dibang and Lohit, and then उसके बाद वो ब्रह्मपुत्र जानी जाएगी. तो ये first statement सही है. Godavari has the second largest river basin. Yes, that is also correct. Almost 9.9, 9.8 ऐसा कुछ है उसका ये area. So clearly you can say it is 10% of area of India. So we'll go with statements one and two. ये चंबल बेटवा का क्या problem है? ये किसकी tributaries है? Yamuna, Chambal, Betwa, Sindh, these are all famously tributaries of the Yamuna, and Yamuna is a direct tributary of the Ganga, but Chambal and Betwa are not direct tributaries. Now, This is a question which will appear again. They will do it with I think Chenab के साथ करेंगे ये Indus river system के साथ. What happens is sometimes you know that a river is part of the river system, okay, but it is contributing to a tributary rather than to the main river. So you have to be careful of what is being asked in the question. If the question is that it is being is this river part of the entire river system, then you say yes, it is part of the entire river system, because any tributary of the tributary should ideally be considered part of the river system or the drainage system, okay. But if you are asking if this river is directly a tributary of this main river, then you have to be careful to see if the river actually goes and directly meets the river. If it does not, if it's a tributary of another tributary river, then that's out of question. Okay, samjha? Confusing? Samjha. Okay, good. Question 144. The Sharavati river creates joke falls. The Brahmani river is. Wait a second. I had some information for you there. Yes. क्या था मेरा वो यहाँ से इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए थी क्या इंफॉर्मेशन है अपनी पीपल गंगा का जो बेसिन है ना ड्रेनेज बेसिन दैट इज अराउंड 26%. देन गोदावरी इज अराउंड 10%. देन उसके बाद आता है इंडस का ड्रेनेज बेसिन दैट इज अराउंड 9.8% ऑफ इंडियाज एरिया. देन यू हैव ब्रह्मपुत्र विच इज अराउंड नो कृष्णा देन विच इज अराउंड सम 8%. देन ब्रह्मपुत्र अराउंड 6%. ओके ये डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ड्रेनेज एरियाज के areas percentage wise of the total area of India. I've given you the information. That is all I care about. Question 144. The Sharavati river creates joke falls. And the second option is the Brahmani river is formed by the confluence of the Kosi and the Sankh rivers. The Tamraparni is a river of the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu. चलो जी इसमें से क्या सही है क्या गलत है. How many statements are correct? You don't even need to know. यहाँ पे तो आपका तुक्का भी लग गया तो भी बहुत है. If you think one is correct, one is wrong, good for you. ये फोन को साइलेंट करवाइए प्लीज. Just two of you brought your phones to the classroom. The rest of you did not. Wow, that's nice. बोलिए Sharavati river creates joke falls. Yes, yes, absolutely does. है ना? We had discussed this earlier. It creates those famous joke falls. You have those 4 streams, Raja Rani, Roro Rocket. Famous है वो. That's a famous site in Karnataka. Okay. Brahmani river is formed by the confluence of the Kosi and Sankh. कोसी तो गंगा में जा रही है, वो कहाँ क्यों जाएगी ब्राह्मणी में. कोसी नहीं है, दिस इज कोयल. कोयल है ना, कोयल नाम की रिवर थी which was कोयल एंड संख रिवर्स मेट, उनका कॉन्फ्लुएंस था एंड देन उसके बाद द ब्राह्मणी में जाता था वो. वेरी करेक्ट. सो दिस स्टेटमेंट इज रॉन्ग. ओके. Tamraparni is a river in Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu, east flowing river from Tamil Nadu. Yes, very true. So we say 2 statements are correct. Okay. Which of the following rivers is not a tributary of the river Brahmaputra? Mahananda, very correct. Mahananda is not a tributary of the Brahmaputra. It's a tributary of which river? Ganga. Very correct. Mahananda is a tributary of the river Ganga. Manas, Kameng and Subhansiri are famously tributaries of the Brahmaputra. Out of the following rivers, Manas, Kameng, Subhansiri, which one is the largest and longest tributary of the Brahmaputra? I'll give you options. You match the following. Also tell me a river which forms the the largest river system in Bhutan, and it is called by the name Dragmichu in Bhutan. It's among these options. You see the amount of questions we are dealing with. There are around 21 questions from this particular topic. There is a reason why I insisted on every single tributary and showed you every diagram, because UPSC generally focuses on drainage systems. Manas is the river जो Bhutan में बहुत famous है. It is one of the largest river system in Bhutan. And then it is called Dragmechu over there, one of their major mainstays as far as drainage is concerned. And Subhansiri happens to be the largest and longest river system, river of the Brahmaputra. Okay. All right, moving forward. River Beas flowing from Himachal and Punjab joins the river Indus, Satluj, Chenab और Ravi. Beas किसमें जाके मिलती है? Which river does Beas go and meet? Satluj? Yes, Satluj. Absolutely correct. It is not a direct tributary of the Indus. It is an indirect tributary. It will join the Satluj. The Satluj will go and meet. हमने discuss किया था ना वो. We start with Indus and then Jhelum, then Chenab, then Chawla, Bobby, Rani, Ravi, Bias, and Satluj. That is how it goes. Krishnaraj Sagara Dam Reservoir is developed on Krishna, Tungabhadra, Godavari, or Kaveri. Krishnaraj Sagara Dam or Reservoir, the one which is right next to Vrindavan Gardens in Mysore. Yeah, I know why you went with Godavari for Karnataka, but now you're in very south Karnataka, very close to the Tamil Nadu part of Karnataka. Mysore is pretty much to the south, right? कौन सी? Tungabhadra? अच्छा, कावेरी कावेरी with कावेरी, we are going with river कावेरी. उसका ना वहां पे मैंने आपको ये भी बताया था कि it is Kaveri, man. See over here, the Krishnaraj Sagara Dam is located below the. There is a confluence of the Kaveri with its tributaries Hemavati and Hemavati and Lakshman Tirtha, and then uske niche wo dam built kiya hai. Famous dam hai, Krishnaraj Sagara Dam. Okay, it's a very famous site. Baglihar Dulhasti Salal hydropower projects have been developed on which of the following rivers? Jhelum and Chenab. Chenab and Indus, Ravi, or Chenab only. Just Chenab. Just Chenab. Chenab के ऊपर है सारे के सारे dams. Ideally, ये question when we will deal with energy in India, we'll deal with all hydropower projects also. तो उसका एक separate table मिलेगा आपको, वो देख लीजिएगा अच्छे से आराम से. Which one of the following is not a west flowing river? Periyar, Bharat, Oya. How do you pronounce this? Fatma. How do you pronounce the second name? It has that Payam Puri wala pronunciation, and I'm not really sure of how you do that. You can't see it? Acha, okay. Pamba and Tamraparani. कौन सी? हाँ पुल्या पुला. अच्छा, it's not the r thing, it is a different pronunciation. Okay. Bharatak. It is something between r and l. Ra. Okay. Okay. Malayalam. So what ZH gets from even in Tamil, right? You have that in the ZH you have in Tamil also. Actually, you know Tamil also. Okay. Quote Tamraparani. Absolutely correct. Tamraparani is not a west flowing river. The rest of the rivers are from Kerala. Periyar, Bharatpura, and Pamba are famously rivers of Kerala. So वो west flowing rivers है. And whereas Tamraparani is from Tamil Nadu, it's a east flowing river. Which of the following rivers was earlier known as Vitasta? Jhelum was famously called as Vitasta. Okay, Tista, Tungabhadra and वो next river का हमको पहले के नाम नहीं पता. रावी को पहले क्या कहते थे? ये छोड़िए. पारुष्णी को अभी किस नाम से जानते? रावी. शतद्रु ऐसे ही नाम है. शतद्रु नाम है उसका. शतद्रु is which river? Satluj. Vipasha. Yes, very good. Askini. Chenab. Good. Yeah. Okay. River Sharda drains in the northern plains of Uttar Pradesh before entering in the plains. Sharda is known as Saraswati, Bhagirathi, Kali, Pindar. काली, काली चौक, कुटियांगड़ी, अलग अलग नाम से जाना जाता है. महाकाली also. This river Sharda famously, that is the river for this अयोध्या से जो river flow करती है ना, this is घाघरा basically, सरयू नाम से flow करती है वो. So we are saying कि वो वहां पे जाती है तो उस नाम से पहचानी जाती है. ठीक है. Brahmaputra and Indus rivers are antecedent rivers. Which of the following may be the true definition of an antecedent drainage? B. 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 Antecedent drainage is that drainage where the river existed before the antecedent drainage is that drainage where the rivers existed way before the mountains were formed. Okay, so before the mountains were formed, if the river usually crosses the mountains and comes in, then usko hum usually antecedent drainage बोलते हैं. Yeah, this question now. बोलो जी, river bases को और उनके towns को match कीजिए. भागीरथी का तो पता होना चाहिए, वो तो बहुत बार किया है हमने. भागीरथी कहाँ जाएगा? उत्तरकाशी. वेरी करेक्ट. ओके. अलकनंदा कहाँ से निकलेगा? It is closer to that Rishikesh system, right? So where are we? Pori, Pori. Huh? It is going to be there. Nayar is famously option B. क्या? 3412. 341. हाँ, correct है. Nayar is going to be Lansdowne and Ganga is Narendra Nagar. We are going with 341. Okay. These are the drainage basins. Majuli, the river island, is located in which one of the following rivers? Jamna, Padma, Ganga, Brahmaputra. Which country does Majuli lie in? उसके हिसाब से फिर आप इनको अलग अलग नाम से बुला सकते हैं. D, Brahmaputra. Absolutely correct. D, Brahmaputra. Majuli is a famous island, riverine island. It's like a depositional thing, right? In the middle of the island. वो braided streams वगैरह बनाते हैं ना, तो बीच में नहीं वो silt डाल के चले जाते हैं. So we are talking about that such an island, okay? So Majuli is a riverine island. It is formed in the Brahmaputra. What is the Jamuna? Which river do we call the Jamuna? No. Which river do we call Jamuna? When is the Brahmaputra called the Jamuna? In Bangladesh, after the Sista meets Brahmaputra, uske baad the river is famously called as Jamuna over there. Which river is ideally called as the Padma? After the Ganga and Brahmaputra meet, the river famously gets called as Padma. Okay. And Ganga is just Ganga. Okay, which one of the following is not a see? This is the question I was talking about. Which one of the following is not a tributary? Tavi, very correct. Tavi is a tributary of the Chenab. Okay, but it is not directly a tributary of Indus. So ideally, it is considered part of the Indus river system, but it is not a direct tributary. बाकी बियास, रावी, चेनाब जो है, ओ अच्छा, बाकी बियास, रावी, चेनाब वगैरह जो है, वो तो इंडस के प्रॉपर डायरेक्ट ट्रिब्यूटरीज है. ओके, ठीक है. Next one, which of the following rivers is not a tributary of the river Kaveri? Hemavati, Arkavati, Indravati, Amravati. No. Indravati. Indravati is the one in Godavari. Indravati is a tributary of the Godavari, right? So then clearly it cannot be a tributary of the Kaveri. Acha ji. Rudraprayag is situated at the confluence of rivers Alaknanda and Alaknanda and Mandakini. Alaknanda and Mandakini. What are you saying? 30 kids read daily and not visit badly. Very correct. So Vishnu Prayag is Dholi river goes and meets the Alaknanda, that is Vishnu Prayag. Nandakini meets the Alaknanda, that's Nanda Prayag. Pindar meets the Alaknanda, that would be called as Karnaprayag. Mandakini meets Alaknanda, that's Rudraprayag. And Bhagirathi meets Alaknanda, that's Devprayag. Okay. Which of the following rivers and tributaries is not correctly matched? Your options are Godavari, Indravati, Ganga, Penganga, Krishna, Bhima, Luni, Sri. B. गंगा पेनगंगा पेनगंगा किसका ट्रिब्यूटरी है which river is Penganga the tributary Godavari Penganga is a tributary of the Godavari okay chalo yaar we are settling one final question which of the following rivers do not originate from the Himalayas from across the Himalayas sorry Indus Satluj Ganga Brahmaputra Himalayas ke pare se kaun si river nahi aati hai from beyond the Himalayas. Ganga rises within the Himalayas. Okay. Ideally, there is a problem. There are some books which will tell you Ganga is an antecedent river. There are a few others which mention Ganga is not an antecedent river. I do not know what UPSC is going with because they have never specified an answer key and saying ki Ganga is an antecedent river or not an antecedent river. But bear in mind that if possible, if there is a possibility of eliminating Ganga as an antecedent river in the options, do so. Okay. Because there are pieces which claim that Ganga is an antecedent river, those which claim it is not, we'll go with whatever UPSC considers canon. If UPSC thinks Ganga is an antecedent river, we'll just go with that. They should just declare what they think Ganga is, antecedent or not. And we do not have an answer on it. Okay? Okay? Chalo ji, that finishes off drainage. Next thing that we are going to do is climate. Okay. Once again, an important chapter as far as this is concerned, weightage is concerned, exams में weightage is concerned. I'll walk you through the chapter first, then we'll consider one topic each, okay? First of all, now let's try to get a general idea of what the climate is, what is the meaning, what is the difference between weather and climate. Moving forward, we'll just go ahead and look at factors which influence the climate of India, okay? It is considered in two ways. One, first of all, location and relief के हिसाब से how you look at the climate in India, and secondly, this air pressure and wind. When you consider the factors related to air pressure and wind, you're going to consider it season wise, how air pressure and wind varies in, different winds vary in winters as well as how they vary in summers. ऐसे दो बार consider करेंगे हम उसको, okay? And then उसके बाद we are going to look at the nature of Indian monsoon. You'll just get an introduction to monsoon, after which we move on to the rhythm of seasons, okay? So we'll go through each season, hot weather season, southwest monsoon season, retreating monsoon season, cold weather season. Mostly I give you the months during which these last. If I have not remember it somewhere in your notes because I'll say it verbally. And remember these months because sometimes recently they've taken to asking you how many months a certain season lasts, right? Or how many days. They just went with days last time. So it was logical, but still they still went with days, right? After we have looked at all the seasons, then lastly we will cover the climatic types. Okay, कहाँ गया मेरा climatic types? नहीं, distribution of rainfall cover करेंगे, distribution and variability का concern है. And then उसके बाद we'll cover ENSO global warming. Then we'll cover the different climatic regions of India. एक Köppen climatic classification मिलता है. Köppen नाम का एक बंदा था who was very famous for this climatic classification. He made that, and that is what you have. उसके हिसाब से India की climatic regions देख लेंगे. That's that. ठीक है? So we are basically looking at weather. What is weather? Weather is the momentary state, right? Weather meaning आज कैसा है? Cloudy है, sunny है, rainy है, whether it is windy है. You're looking at different. You're looking at the moment and atmospheric conditions in that moment. Okay, at that particular moment, whatever the atmospheric conditions may be, is what we call weather. Okay. Whereas climate. Whereas climate is the average of the weather conditions over a longer period of time. Okay, so essentially what you do is when you're determining the climate of a impulse, If you're determining the climate of a certain place, what you do is you collect data over 30-35 years. And data meaning you check out pressure variations, temperature variations, annual range, diurnal range. Right, so you consider temperature patterns, pressure patterns, rainfall patterns. You figure them out and then you form a climate. Okay. So उस हिसाब से क्या है उस हिसाब से India gets a hot monsoonal climate. Okay, that is the climate that we are going with, a hot monsoonal climate. Monsoonal because we have that monsoon is a steady mainstay feature in Indian climate, and it is generally hot. The climate is generally considered hot. Okay. Now, this monsoon regime, na, the fact that we have a monsoonal climate, it emphasizes the unity with the rest of Southeast Asia because the rest of Southeast Asia also experiences a monsoon climate, a good monsoon thing. And it showcases the monsoon itself, will showcase the diversity in India because not everywhere do you get the same amount of rainfall or the same intensity of rainfall. Okay, okay. So the monsoon itself is a both a converging, a unifying as well as a diverging factor. The unification part is with the rest of Southeast Asia and the divergence you find within India. Okay, कि इंडिया में आपको बहुत diversity मिलती है कि monsoon same नहीं है हर जगह पे. Is this understood? हाँ? Okay, now you come to the various factors determining the climate of India. Usme, like we said, the first thing that we consider is factors that are related to location and relief. And the second thing is factors related to air pressure and wind. Okay, so here it is, the factors related to location and relief. These are the 6 factors. We are looking at latitude, the Himalayas, distribution of land and water, the distance from the sea or the factor of continentality, altitude, and lastly, relief. Okay, you both purple and what are you wearing? Gray. Beige. Go and stand at the back of the class. And stand away from each other. I don't want you to start another session there. Okay. So first of all, latitude. Okay. Latitude clearly Tropic of India, Tropic of Cancer pass करता है India में से. Clearly जो northern part है वो Tropic of Cancer के ऊपर lie करता है and जो southern part है वो Tropic of Cancer के नीचे lie करता है. Okay. Now you're saying what is the tropic important for? What does the tropic mark? It is the limit of the overhead sun. Meaning बियॉन्ड द ट्रॉपिक सबको सन कभी भी ओवरहेड 90 डिग्री से नहीं मिलेगा, इंसुलेशन कभी भी 90 डिग्री से नहीं मिलेगा. तो उसकी वजह से क्या होता है, नॉर्दर्न सेक्शन जो होता है so we are saying the northern section will lie in a subtropical or I think you both should leave the class and do not come back again. What are their names? Do you know those people? Oh, no problem. I might not remember their faces. I just wanted to give their names to somebody. Okay, here we are. So we are saying the northern part lies in the subtropical or warm temperate zone and the southern part lies in the equatorial zone. Okay, so clearly the part Tropic of Cancer के अंदर lie करता है, that is in the equatorial zone, whereas the upper part, the upper section which lies outside the Tropic of Cancer will lie in the subtropical or warm temperate zone. Okay, तो वो temperate में आता है लेकिन warm temperate है, it's not very cold. Okay, तो northern part जो होता है clearly because it lies outside the Tropic of Cancer वो थोड़ा climatic extremes में चला जाएगा. Winters become really cold. Summers, especially in the middle of the land, become extremely hot. So that is the extremes of climate. Okay, whereas the southern part will generally experience a hot climate throughout. Even winters are not very, very cold as such. Okay, so it experiences high temperatures and you see a very small annual or daily range. Okay, small annual or daily range माने दिल्ली को देख लीजिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई गिव यू दिस एग्जाम्पल. दिल्ली का जो समर का क्लाइमेट होता है, इन समर्स द टॉप मोस्ट द मैक्सिमम क्लाइमेट इज समवेयर अराउंड 50-52. ओके, दैट्स द 50-52 डिग्री सेल्सियस. ओके, एंड विंटर्स का क्लाइमेट इज समटाइम्स इवन बिलो जीरो. सब जीरो क्लाइमेट्स हो सकते हैं दिल्ली में, है ना. ऑन एन एवरेज आप कभी भी 4-5 डिग्रीज के अराउंड होता है क्लाइमेट. ओके, सो वी आर सेइंग कि दिस इज अ ग्रेट एनुअल रेंज. ओके, अराउंड 40-50 डिग्रीज का अगर डिफरेंस आपको मिलता है टेम्परेचर में, देन दिस इज अ ग्रेट एनुअल रेंज. डायनल रेंज कहाँ मिलेगा आपको? वेयर डू यू फाइंड अ ग्रेट डायनल रेंज? दिन का टेम्परेचर बहुत डिफरेंट होगा और रात का टेम्परेचर बहुत कम होगा. Rajasthan, very good. We are looking at desert regions, okay, where the day temperatures during the day will be very high and the temperatures during night will be extremely low, okay, because both of continentality and the fact that it is a sandy area. तो land की property होती है जल्दी जल्दी गर्म हो जाओ, जल्दी जल्दी ठंडा हो जाओ, okay. So we are saying essentially that this is the difference between latitudes. At different latitudes, different places will experience different climates, okay. The second factor and the most important factor is going to be Himalayas, okay. The fact that the Himalayas lie here bang at the starting of India over here, हाँ, ये जो इंडिया का नॉर्थ है वहां पे वो प्रॉपरली एक बड़ा सा माउंटेन चेन खड़ा है आपका, ओके. उसकी वजह से हमको दो इंपॉर्टेंट फायदे होते हैं यूजुअली ना. ये जो पार्ट है इंडिया, ये जो पार्ट है दुनिया का, हाँ, ये साइबेरियन रीजन, ओके. सो वी आर सीइंग यहाँ से ना कोल्ड आर्कटिक विंड्स निकलते हैं, ओके, एंड दे फ्लो साउथवर्ड्स. दीज विंड्स विल स्टार्ट फ्लोइंग साउथवर्ड्स. अब ये पूरा ये सेंट्रल एशिया से निकलकर सीधा इंडिया तक आके रुकते हैं बिकॉज द हिमालयाज आर प्रीटी टॉल एट 8 किलोमीटर्स फ्रॉम द सर्फेस ऑफ द सी. So clearly the Himalayas blocked those winds, okay. If these cold Arctic winds weren't blocked and Himalayas were not there and they couldn't, and nothing could block these winds and they were allowed to enter India, the rest of India would have looked the way Ladakh does, okay. It would have been cold, barren and very treeless, no vegetation. The climate would have been very very dreary, okay. बहुत dreary climate हो जाता हमारा. Thankfully because of the Himalayas the climate is not so, okay. So एक फायदा कि वो आर्कटिक विंड्स को ब्लॉक करते हैं, साउथ में आने वाले आर्कटिक विंड्स को. सेकेंड फायदा ये कि यहाँ से जो साउथ वेस्ट मानसून विंड्स अंदर जाते हैं, है ना, वी आर सेइंग ये जो साउथ वेस्ट मानसून विंड्स अंदर जाते हैं वो हिमालयाज उसको रोक लेते हैं, ओके. इट एक्ट्स एज एन ओरोग्राफिक बैरियर एंड दे डू नॉट अलाउ दीज विंड्स टू गो इवन फर्दर, ओके. या और दूर चाइना में या नेपाल में वगैरह नहीं जाने देते उसको. इट जस्ट स्टॉप्स ओवर देयर, ओके. Now what difference it makes it that it gives all the precipitation within the land of India, okay. तो जितना भी precipitation आएगा आपका वो सारा इंडिया में lie करता है. It does not fall outside and that is a good thing for us, okay. So Himalayas are an important thing too. It's a two-pronged effect. The Arctic winds blowing from the Central Asian region are blocked and southwest monsoon winds are also blocked within India, within the region of India. So clearly India gets all the precipitation, okay. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज गोइंग टू बी द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर. इंडिया को ठीक से देख लीजिए. ऊपर की तरफ हिमालयाज है आपका, हाँ, यू हैव द हिमालयाज इन द नॉर्थ एंड क्लियरली इन द साउथ यू हैव दिस रीजन, राइट. यू हैव द इंडियन ओशन रीजन, ओके. एंड नॉट जस्ट द इंडियन ओशन, उसके नीचे कोई मेजर लैंड भी नहीं है. कैन यू सी एनी मेजर लैंड ओवर देयर व्हिच इज गोइंग टू मेक एनी डिफरेंस टू द प्रेशर और टेम्परेचर और एनी अदर इफेक्ट्स? नो, ओके. सो व्हाट यू हैव इज देयर इज अ ह्यूज लैंड मास above India to the north of India and completely an entire sea below the India, okay. So that makes for very different conditions. That makes a very unique location for India because land will have that property that it will keep heating up during the summers and cooling down during winters, and water does not do it at that acceleration or that pace, okay. Water does not heat very easily also and does not cool down very easily also. So you get this contrast unique effect over here, and that is why India's location is so important, okay. So that makes for an interesting effect. Because of that, you will see differential heating of land and water, and that becomes very pronounced during seasons, and it causes seasonal variation of winds. Essentially, what I'm saying is that since there is an entire landmass, let's imagine what happens over here in summer. If this is an entire landmass, clearly this area is going to get heated up very quickly, okay. And if since it is surrounded by land also, that entire place is going to, the temperatures are going to rise very quickly. What happens to the pressure when temperature rises? The pressure falls, okay. So this will be a low pressure region over here, okay. What happens to the ocean over here? What happens to the ocean wala part? Clearly the temperatures do not rise that easily, so a low pressure region is not formed over here. Instead a high pressure region will be formed in comparison to the landmass, okay. So clearly you in summers the land will be a low pressure region and the sea will be a high pressure region, okay. Contrast this in winters. Clearly the temperatures in this entire landmass are going to start falling. You have the Tibetan plateau also right above you, right above India. So clearly that is also going to be an important factor. So we say that here the temperatures are going to start falling very rapidly in winters, okay. The temperatures start falling very rapidly, and clearly if the temperature falls, if it's a low temperature place, what happens to the pressure? The pressure rises. So you see clearly in winters this becomes a high pressure region, whereas the ocean remains a low pressure region comparatively. We are not saying that the ocean by itself heats up or it cools down. We are saying in comparison to the land, the ocean becomes a high or low pressure region, okay. Okay, is this understood? So this creates that seasonal variation and differential pressure and differential heating, and because of that the winds will blow in either direction. The wind will always blow from a high pressure region to a low pressure region, okay. So in summers the winds blow from the Indian Ocean towards the landmass, and in winters the winds blow from the landmass towards the sea, okay. That's the general idea. Okay, distance from the sea. This is the factor of continentality that we were talking about. We say that usually being close to the sea, places that are close to the sea usually experience a moderating influence from the sea, because the sea never heats up very quickly, and neither does it. If the sea doesn't heat up quickly, it neither cools down very quickly. Okay, so it takes a long time to heat up. It takes a long time to cool down, as opposed to the land which heats up very quickly. It cools down very quickly. So clearly, all those places in India which have a location closer to the sea will experience an equable climate, or an equable climate, meaning the climate doesn't go into extremes. Look at Bombay. The summers may be hot, but they are not scorching. Like summers are not scorching like in Delhi. Have you been in a Bombay summer and a Delhi summer? They're different, right? Delhi summer can burn a person up. They can really dehydrate a person completely, especially if you're hot somewhere in the leaf. Can I talk? Can you hear me when the plane is above? ये जाएगा वैसे. So we are saying that summers in Delhi are scorching hot. Okay, temperatures rise very high. Temperatures are anywhere about 40, 50 degrees Celsius and so on and so forth. Okay, compare that temperature to Bombay. What is Bombay temperature like in summers? 37, 38, never above that. है ना? Okay, ठीक है. Winters में दिल्ली को consider करते हैं. Delhi in winters is anywhere sub-zero. You are saying single digit scores होते हैं वहाँ पे. So clearly the temperatures are very low. What about Bombay temperatures in winter? 30, 32, you're still somewhere around that. Okay, same, absolutely same. So you're saying that usually places which lie on the coast do not have climatic extremes, whereas places that are in the middle of the land somewhere, the more you're in the middle of the land, the more continental it becomes, and the more severe you can see the climatic extremes. Okay, winters become very cold and summers become very hot. Okay, that is how it works. सो दिल्ली का एग्जांपल दिया है. कोस्टल एरियाज का क्लाइमेट काफी इक्वेबल होता है एंड लेस वेरिएशन दिखेगा आपको क्लाइमेट में. ओके, ऑल्टीट्यूड वाइज देख लीजिए. टेम्परेचर क्लियरली ऑल्टीट्यूड के साथ डिक्रीज करता है. क्यों? व्हाई डज टेम्परेचर डिक्रीज विद ऑल्टीट्यूड? प्रेशर डिक्रीज करेगा इसलिए. सॉरी, जितना ऊपर जाएंगे उतना टेम्परेचर फॉल करेगा. क्यों? हाउ डज द एटमॉस्फेयर हीट अप? From the ground below. Okay, the ground below, it is the surface which will be hot first, and then it will, by conduction, it will transfer that heat to the layer which is next to it, and that layer will transfer heat to the layer above, and that layer will transfer heat to the layer above it. Okay, so by the process of conduction, this heat goes on further and further. Okay, you know, by the principles of heat and mass transfer, that by the time you reach the upper layers of the earth, clearly upper layers of the atmosphere, clearly there is less heat to be transmitted and transferred, and clearly the temperature keeps on falling. Okay, that is how the process is going to go. नहीं, लॉजिकल नहीं लग रहा है ये. बहुत बेसिक टेम्परेचर हमने एटमॉस्फेयर किया था. हमने कहा था अर्थ का सरफेस पहले हीट अप हो जाता है. ओके, क्यों हीट हो जाता है? क्योंकि सन से डायरेक्टली इंसोलेशन मिलता है. सन का इंसोलेशन एटमॉस्फेयर को गर्म करता है क्या? डज इट हीट अप द एटमॉस्फेयर एवर? नो, वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग. अर्थ वहां से अपना एटमॉस्फेयर वहां से अपनी हीट नहीं ड्राइव करता है. फिर ये सरफेस जब हीट हो जाएगा, तो ये जो फर्स्ट एटमॉस्फेरिक लेयर है उसको हीट करेगा. ओके, जो सबसे करीब लेयर होता है एटमॉस्फेयर का लेयर, क्लोजेस्ट टू द सर्फेस ऑफ द अर्थ, उसको हीट करेगा. ओके, एंड देन ये लेयर जब गर्म हो जाएगा, तो वो ये हीट नेक्स्ट लेयर को पास ऑन करेगा. फिर ये सेकंड लेयर जब हीट हो जाएगा, तो वो अपनी हीट थर्ड लेयर को पास ऑन करेगा. क्लियरली इस प्रोसेस में व्हेन यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग द हीट, वो कम कम हीट जाने वाली है ना आगे, थोड़ी सी कम. तो बाय द टाइम यू रीच अबव, थोड़ा सा और ऊपर चले जाएंगे, तो वो हीट जैसे जैसे आप ऊपर जाएंगे वैसे वैसे वो हीट कम होती जाती है. ओके, तो ऑल्टीट्यूड विल ऑलवेज मेक दिस डिफरेंस की सेम लैटिट्यूड पे जगह होगी तो ये एक्सपेक्ट की क्लाइमेट सेम होंगे. ओके, बट ऑल्टीट्यूड का फर्क होता है. इफ वन प्लेस, इवन इफ टू प्लेसेस आर एट द सेम लैटिट्यूड but they are at different altitudes, clearly the place at a high altitude will be a little colder. Okay, वो थोड़ी सी cool हो जाएगी. So we are saying उसका famous example इंडिया में आगरा एंड दार्जिलिंग है. दोनों के समर टेम्परेचर्स देखिए. दार्जिलिंग इज अ टूरिस्ट लोकेशन, राइट? इट्स अ टूरिस्ट प्लेस. हम समर्स में दार्जिलिंग चले जाते हैं छुट्टियां एंजॉय करने. whereas आगरा में यू डोंट वांट टू गेट आउट ऑफ द हाउस, यू आर वरीड वो लू आ जाएगी, राइट? So that is the difference between the altitude. Okay, altitudes आगरा एंड दार्जिलिंग की वजह से clearly उनके क्लाइमेट से बदल जाते हैं. And lastly, relief. Okay, relief माने you're saying कि physiography जो होता है, या meaning mountains, valleys, we are talking of that. Okay, so that affects the temperature, the air pressure, direction, speed of wind, and amount and distribution of rainfall. Okay, let's imagine temperature. Can a mountain affect the temperature? A place below the mountain will clearly be at a higher temperature. Okay, a place above the mountain will clearly be at a lower temperature, irrespective of the season, whether it's summer or winter. We are saying the temperatures will vary. Okay, that will affect the temperature. Air pressure को affect करेगा mountain? करेगा ना. एयर प्रेशर, आप जितना ऊपर चले जाओगे प्रेशर कम कम होता जाएगा. अग्रीड. सो एयर प्रेशर को भी अफेक्ट करेगा. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, डायरेक्शन एंड स्पीड ऑफ विंड को अफेक्ट करेगा. हाँ, ओरोग्राफिक बैरियर करके एक्ट करता है. यूजुअली नीचे बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है, जितना ऊपर चले जाते हैं वो ओरोग्राफिक बैरियर करके एक्ट करता है. एंड अमाउंट एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ रेनफॉल को अफेक्ट करता है. यस, वी नो दैट, राइट. वी से कि अगर ये विंडवर्ड साइड है, इफ दिस इज द विंडवर्ड साइड एंड दिस इज द लीवर्ड साइड, देन क्लियरली विंडवर्ड साइड पे ज्यादा बारिश मिलती है आपको, है ना. यू गेट मोर रेनफॉल ओवर हियर, whereas you get less rainfall on the leeward side, है ना. leeward side पे या रेन शैडो रीजन में क्लियरली आपको कम बारिश मिलती है. आपके योर एग्जांपल्स फॉर दिस आर द वेस्टर्न घाट्स और मेघालय प्लेटो, जो अरेबियन सी की तरफ से आने वाले, बे ऑफ बंगाल की तरफ से आने वाले विंड्स को रोकता है. और then the Aravallis, which does not form an orographic barrier and allows the winds to straight go ahead, है ना. Aravallis कहाँ lie करते हैं people? वी आर सेइंग हमारे जो मॉनसूनल विंड्स है वो यहाँ से ऐसे अंदर जा रहे हैं, साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून विंड्स. ओके, ये अरावलीज को सीधा पैरेलली फ्लो करते हैं. एंड अरावलीज डू नॉट फॉर्म एन ओरोग्राफिक बैरियर ओवर हियर, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट ये विंड्स यहाँ रुकते नहीं है, जिसकी वजह से आपको एक मेजर डेजर्ट फॉर्मेशन भी मिलता है साइड में. ओके, सो क्लियरली दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. नेक्स्ट जो फैक्टर है ना अपना, फैक्टर्स रिलेटेड टू विंड प्रेशर एंड विंड, उसमें ना वी आर गोइंग टू लुक एट थ्री इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स. वी आर लुकिंग एट द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एयर प्रेशर एंड विंड्स ऑन द सर्फेस ऑफ द अर्थ. तो एक सरफेस सर्कुलेशन पढ़ लेंगे. सरफेस सर्कुलेशन माने योर चेकिंग की विंड्स कहाँ से कहाँ आ रहे हैं, ट्रेड विंड्स है क्या, साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून विंड्स अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं क्या. वी आर लुकिंग एट दोस. ओके, सरफेस विंड्स देखेंगे. अपर एयर सर्कुलेशन माने योर टॉकिंग ऑफ एयर मासेस एंड जेट स्ट्रीम्स. बेसिकली हम टू जेट स्ट्रीम्स कंसिडर करेंगे, वेस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम इन द विंटर्स एंड ईस्टर्ली जेट स्ट्रीम ड्यूरिंग समर्स और मॉनसून्स. ओके, वो दो जेट स्ट्रीम्स कंसिडर करेंगे. एंड लास्टली यू आर चेकिंग कि वेदर आपको कोई साइक्लोनिक, डू यू हैव ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन्स और टेम्परेट साइक्लोन्स कमिंग इनटू दैट प्लेस एंड अफेक्टिंग द क्लाइमेट. ओके, तो ये तीन जो फैक्टर्स है उसके हिसाब से हम एक समर सीजन देख लेंगे एंड एक विंटर सीजन देख लेंगे. ओके, दैट्स द जनरल आइडिया. नाउ गिव मी अ मोमेंट. Please stop your people because it doesn't make sense for me to start a topic when there are just 2 minutes for the lecture. We have next time